Hi there, this is Catherine Kyle from greenthickies.com, and today in this video I am going to be talking about blenders. I'm going to be talking about the best blenders that you need for making green thickies. So what blender do you need? So here is my best blender guide. So if you are going to buy a blender from scratch, these are the models I recommend. But don't worry, if you already have a blender and you don't want to buy a new blender, in a minute I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a perfect green thickie in any blender at all. It doesn't matter on the price, it doesn't matter about a high-speed blender. So you can make green thickies in any blender, and I'll show you how in a second. But if you are going to buy a new blender, these are the models that I would recommend. Now, I would recommend that if you can afford it, that I would buy a high-speed blender, because if you know that you're going to make a habit out of this and make them every single day, it will save you so much time and so much effort. And not only that, but you can make so many other delicious things in a high-speed blender. Like you can make nut butters, you can make like ice cream made from frozen fruit, which my kids absolutely adore this. I adore this. And they don't even know the difference between this fruit ice cream and normal ice cream. It is so delicious, and it literally takes me about a minute to make this in a high-speed blender, so it's pretty incredible. So if you can, I understand they are very expensive, and it took me a long time to save up for my Vitamix. I burned out several blenders because I didn't know how to treat it properly, and I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. And I burned out several of my blenders, and I just got so sick of it. I just saved up and didn't get any Christmas presents or birthday presents until I had all the money I needed. Every penny went into the Vitamix fund, and I bought it. And that was about, I think it was about 8 years ago, and that it's lasted that length of time. I've not needed to buy any other blenders, and it has completely changed my life because it just makes everything, it makes healthy living so easy. So if you can, I would get yourself a Vitamix or a Blendtec. Now, which is my personal preference? I now have both. I have a Vitamix and a Blendtec, and I use them both at the same time with the same ingredients. So I have compared them both with each other every single day, and my personal preference is actually the Vitamix. Now, they've both got their pros and cons, but personally the Vitamix, for the simple reason that my Blendtec lid does not stay on, and it annoys me because I can't leave my blender alone. I have to put my hand on top, which defeats the multitasking attitude that I like to have towards food. I like to put my blender on and stir my dinner or do something with my dinner, chop my vegetables or whatever I'm doing at the same time. So for that reason, I would buy a Vitamix again. And Vitamix also has, well, my model has a bigger jug, so I can put more in it. I can cram more of my lovely green thickies in. So that is my personal preference. But Blendtec also does a very good job of blending your green thickies. So any cheaper blenders, if you can't afford a Vitamix or a Blendtec, then I would buy a NutriBullet or a Ninja, because they are also very good blenders, and they will do the job just as well. So if you don't have a high-speed blender, this, or even if you do, this will also help you. So how to make a perfectly smooth smoothie with any blender. So how to get your green thickie to be perfectly smooth so there is no lumps, bumps or seeds or anything in it whatsoever. No leafy green bits. So you don't have to do this with a high-speed blender, but it still helps with a high-speed blender. So you can soak any hard ingredients such as nuts, seeds, dates or oats overnight. If you soak your nuts and seeds in water, then rinse and drain them the next morning. If you soak your dates and your oats in the smoothie water, in the smoothie liquid that you're going to use, and add both the dates, the oats and the liquid into your blender in the morning, because a lot of the nutrients will leach into the water. So if you get rid of the water, then you're getting rid of the nutrients in dates and oats. And oats, they just swell up and they just absorb all the water anyway. So there's not really much water left. So you can't really drain the oats anyway. They become like oatmeal really. So you can't drain those. But nuts and seeds, it gets rid of the anti-nutrients in those, so it's better for your health if you drain them first of all. And this is even though you don't need to do this with a high-speed blender, it is actually much better for your health to soak your nuts and seeds, dates and oats, overnight beforehand, because it does release those anti-nutrients and it makes it much easier to digest. So with any grains, it makes it so much easier to digest if you soak them, at least for 8 hours. Here's another thing you can do. If you blend your greens and your water first until the greens are submerged into the water, then this avoids anything getting stuck in a cheaper blender. So sometimes if you try and cram your blender so full that it's full to the top, because leafy greens have a lot of volume, so they can take up the entire blender, and then you crammed everything in, then it doesn't give the blades any room to turn so that it can get stuck. So what you need to do is put in your water and leafy greens first, and then the blades will freely blend up the leafy greens. It'll only take about 2 seconds, and then add your other ingredients in and it'll blend a lot easier. Next, if you put in your hard ingredients and blend those until they are almost smooth, maybe like 1 to 2 minutes, depends on what type of blender you've got, because harder ingredients take the longest to blend. And then after that, if you add your fruit last, because fruit takes the shortest amount of time to blend and you don't want to end up blending it for longer than you need to, so then blend up your fruit last. So in a high-speed blender, you can just put everything in at once, and it will take about 2 minutes to blend up a green thickie. But in other blenders, it can take up to 5 minutes, and you might not know that. You might think, oh, I'll just blend this for 1 minute, but why have I got all these lumps and bumps? But because you've got all these extra ingredients in, these hard ingredients, and remember, this is a complete meal, so it's not just something very soft. It's made from ingredients from a lot of different sources. So in a cheaper blender, it can take up to 5 minutes. So just leave it going. And if you can put in cold ingredients or frozen ingredients, then it will not overheat so much when you're doing it. But if you're blending a smoothie for 5 minutes, no doubt it will get a little bit warm, and you probably won't want to drink a warm smoothie straight away. So what you can do to cool down your smoothie is you can use that frozen fruit, or you can add some ice at the end to cool it down and then blend it again with the ice in at the very end, or you can put it in the fridge overnight, and this is my choice. I put it in the fridge overnight, and then in the morning it's perfectly smooth. And I also find that it's much easier to manage my time if I make my batch of green thickie in the evening when I'm in the kitchen anyway making dinner, and then in the morning when I'm so busy I don't have time to make breakfast, my kids are hungry, and I just get it out of the fridge and everybody has the green thickie straight away. There is no waiting at all, which is perfect, especially when you've got toddlers who really can't wait and they're just moaning, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, I'm hungry," and you've got something, it's there, it's perfect, it's healthy, no guilt, it's just healthy food for everybody. And you can also pour your entire green thickie into the freezer, not like literally into the freezer, into a freezer safe container, and then put it into the freezer and freeze it, and then defrost it for a day before you want to drink it, and that can also cool it down. So this will help you to make a perfectly smooth smoothie with any blender, and I hope that's helped you to avoid any blender blow-ups like I used to have. And let me know how it goes with your blender. I can't wait to hear from you. So take care, and I will speak to you soon. Bye!